Hi everybody, this is Latoya. I know it's been a while since I did a video, but I decided to do another one. I got kind of touched by my conversation that I have with God every morning, and so this is how this came about. So I kind of been trying to find my way, I call it, lately. So I've been listening to a lot of different things out there and looking at different opinions and views on how life is and what to do with it. Basically to try to find your way. And I already like to meditate because it's really my way of connecting and talking to God, or at least that's how I feel about it. So I do it in the morning, and sometimes in the morning I get inspired to do certain things like write, paint, make jewelry, or today, well, actually yesterday, do this video. I've already recorded this yesterday, and if I could not get this to go through for nothing, so I figured, okay, well, maybe God wasn't asking me to do this. But then again, I woke up this morning, and here it is that I needed to do it, so here I am. So when I say I'm trying to find my way, it's a lot of information out there. You have people who are so far into their religion that it doesn't seem like anything else exists. And a lot of things in religion just don't hit for me. It's like it's missing pieces, like something's not right about it. And you have the new age thinking where they go off into a different extreme, and some of the stuff they say sounds and feels right, but then some of it doesn't. So lately I've been drawn to just quiet, just go out into nature and just be quiet. So I did that yesterday. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at everything around me. I'm looking at the birds, I'm looking at the trees, and it's like you could feel the trees, like the energy from the trees, and it's it's a different kind. I can't even explain it. And then I'm looking at these birds and how they're flying around. And, this one little bird was picking stuff so he can go home and back and build his nest. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm looking at the water. And one of my favorite things to do is to look up at the sky from underneath a tree, because those colors are so beautiful. No matter how hard man tries, we can never duplicate that. It's a beauty that just we can't duplicate no matter what we do. Just like the smell of rain or the feel of the wind, these are things we can't duplicate no matter how hard we try. And I'm looking at all this nature around me, and I see and feel God in everything. So I took it back to a natural process. A lot of times if you bring it back to nature, what is nature doing? How does nature handle it? Squirrels don't care about what the Kardashians are wearing. Your cat can care less about some dollar collapsing. They don't care about any of this information. They don't even know about it. But yet they still live their life out. So it has to be something that we're missing. So I looked at nature. And I remember the story, which I think I put in one of my previous videos, where the scientists did this study on these birds, these hatchlings. They just hatched, and mother wasn't around. And so what they did was they took a silhouette of their mother and flew it over the birds. And the birds called out and stretched their necks and things, trying to get the attention of the mom to get them down there. Like, hey, here we are, we're here, come feed us. Then they took a silhouette of a hawk and flew it over the birds, and they crouched down as little as they could and were quiet. So if God put this inside these little tiny birds that just got here, wouldn't he have done the same for us? The one that we're supposed to be his greatest creations? Or at least that's how we feel about it. And when I say we, I mean the human as collective whole, human race as a collective whole, that we're the greatest. Well, really, I look around and I see how everybody else is doing it so much better. You look at the squirrels, you look at the trees, you look at the deer and the fish. They all do it better than we do. They don't destroy their planet. They don't destroy their environment. We do. Like the Matrix said, we're a virus on this planet. But that's going off in a different way. That's not what this video is about, so let me stop. But I looked at nature and I looked at everything around me. And then I thought about us. When a man and a woman, I'm the bees and the birds, a man and woman get together, they plant the seed inside the woman. And she feels it growing and becoming this little boy or this little girl inside her stomach. And once it grows, and whether, it ends up being full term or they come prematurely, whatever it is, you have this little creation that's a combination of both the mom and the dad. This little bundle is combination of both. So then I went back and I looked at the Bible. So the Bible says that Adam and Eve were made in God's own creation, because it says in Genesis, let us make man in our own creation. So if God made us in in our own image, let us make man in our own image. So if God made us in his own image, then wouldn't he put some of himself inside of it as well? Now bear with me. I know you probably like, oh, here we go. No, but just listen. So God created Adam and Eve. When somebody paints something or you have a baby that's born, it's a little bit of you that goes inside of that. Whether you're painting, you're making jewelry, gardening, whatever it is that you're doing, so a little bit of you goes into that. And that's where we get that connection to what it is that we just did, or what we call pride in what we did, because we feel that connection on what it is we just did. So God made Adam and Eve, and I'm sure he put a little bit of himself inside Adam and Eve. So when you look at it, okay, they had two kids, Cain and Abel. Now, we're not going to go into the whole story about Cain and Abel, but they made Cain and Abel. And from there, the whole world was populated. Now, I ain't going to talk about the ancestral part of that either, but the whole world was populated off of these two people. That's what the Bible says. So if we look at it and we take it that way, then okay. So I'm not that big on Bible, but I'm not sure if Cain and Abel actually had kids, but we're just going to put it for the purposes of this video. We're going to say they did. So Adam and Eve gave birth to Cain and Abel. So I'm sure Cain and Abel had some traits from Adam and Eve. Whatever. So they had some traits from Adam and Eve that was put inside of them. So now you have God inside of Adam and Eve. You have Adam and Eve inside of Cain and Abel, which means you got a bit of God in them too. So they go out, they have kids. Now you have Adam, Eve, Cain and Abel, all of those and their children, along with a bit of God. See where I'm going with this? So I look at my own family, okay? There are bits of me that I see my mom in. There are bits of my dad that I see in me. So there are also these same bits of me and my kid's dad that I see in my children. So wouldn't it make sense to say that part of what was in my parents, which was in me, is now in my kids? You see what I'm saying? So you ask the question. I'm going to ask the question. Do you ever look at your children and see yourself inside of them? Or do you ever look at your parents and see yourself inside of them? And the answer is going to be yes. Unless you just lying to yourself, the answer is going to be yes. So why wouldn't you be able to see God inside of you? So go on to the next question. Next question is, do you believe in the next question is, have you ever had a moment where, and this might sound like it's going off the topic, but just bear with me. Have you ever had a moment where you knew like who was on the line before you even answered the phone? Not that you were expecting the call, but you just knew who was calling you. Like it was your best friend, your mom, your aunt, whoever. You just knew that they were calling you. Or you went and you had a job interview. You just knew you got that job. You know, this is what some people would call, psychic behavior or psychic belief. Now, I know we're not supposed to be psychic or anything like that, but hey, look at the Bible again. Joseph had dreams that prophesied stuff. So he knew about things that were to come because of his dreams. So is it really that bad? It's the same thing. Or I'm going to ask you another question. Do you believe in the miracles of Jesus? And if you say yes to this, then I've never seen in any of the chemistry or alchemy that I've ever looked at to where you can turn water into wine. Which means you call it a miracle, but it's magic. It's the same thing. Miracle, magic, same thing. It's something that you don't know how it happened, but it did. So when we look at a lot of things that go on to society, you got your religion telling you that this is bad and this is horrible. You got some of the new age telling you this is bad, this is horrible. You got everybody talking about this is the devil, this is evil. And some of it is. Don't get me wrong. Some of it is. But some of it is just natural. Some of it has been there since our existence. And the reason why, which is what I'm getting back to, is if there's a little bit of God in all of us, then we are connected. There's like a line that connects all of us. It's kind of like a network. If you ever see or better yet, you look up in the sky at the stars, and if you were to take a line and start connecting them, just pick one and connect it to some, and then take those and connect it to something else, and take those and connect it to something else. You'll start seeing how they're all connected like a network. That's how we are here on this world. That's how we are. Because we all have a little bit of God inside of us. That little piece that we have of Him inside of us connects us all together. Connects us. So it's not that you're being psychic when you know who's on the other line. That's that connection. You just tapped into it to know who's calling you. Those dreams that you have is just connections that you have with God. The turning the water into wine, I can't explain that, but it's magic. So, and what we think sometimes is magic really is just going back to that connection, and it's not something that's evil. The reason I know this for sure is because I actually had dreams throughout my life sometimes, and they come true. Just like Joseph did in the Bible, sometimes I have dreams and they come true. Sometimes I know things and don't understand why or how I know them, but I do, and it comes out to be true. You meet people, and if they give you this bad vibe and you don't understand why. Some people go with it. Some people, say, okay, well, it's just me being crazy or whatever. But every time I've had that feeling, something has always came out. Like one that's standing out to me right now is a lady at my, when I used to work at Target. It's just something that was not right about her, and I couldn't understand what it is. So I just put it in just something to be aware of, because she didn't seem like she, was going to like murder everybody in here or something like crazy like that, but it was just something off about her, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but something just said do not trust her, so I didn't. So certain things I just wouldn't leave around her. Like you ain't gonna leave your purse, your car keys, things like that. You're not gonna leave that stuff around her. Come to find out, she was a thief and had been stealing stuff from the company for a while. So that's how she got fired. So it's things like this that going back to the nature, to animals, it's something that they can sense inside of people. Like animals will stay away from an area that what religion would call evil, where there's like this evil presence, or some people call it a dark presence. New Age people call it the negative energy. All of that is the same thing. It's the same concept, same idea. It is the exact opposite of what the light is that God puts inside of us. And animals can sense it and see it. So that if there's an area like in the forest, they won't go to it. Somebody comes through your door, your dog is barking and snapping at them, when usually they're very gentle and kind and want to play with everybody and greet everybody. But this one person comes through your door and they're snapping and snarling. You need to be aware of that, because that dog is sensing something you can't. It's that dark side, that negative energy, that evil presence within that person. Because everything to me, and this is all my opinion, this whole video, you don't have to take anything I'm saying, but everything has to balance. You can't have the light without the dark. You can't have up without down. You can't have right without left. You can't have 180 degrees without the other 180 degrees to make the 360. Things have to balance. So you're not, the ideal that we're going to live in this world that's just so perfect, to me, is unrealistic. It's not going to happen. And it's not that it's bad and it's not that it's good. It just is what it is. Now, you may look at this and say, okay, well, if God does exist, then why is there evil? Well, evil has its purposes too, because you can't know evil without knowing good. You can't know the light without knowing the dark. It's the same thing. It's the same balance. Now, there was a man I was listening to, I'm trying to think of what his name was. I think it was Neville Goddard. I think that was the name of him. He told the story about how he went, he's one of those, the laws of attraction type people. So he made the story where his brothers were in town and he wanted to take them. They wanted to go to do shows, see shows and stuff. Because this had to be like back in the 1940s, 50s, something like that. So they wanted to see a show every day while they were here in New York for like 2 weeks. Well, not here because I'm in Detroit, but the 2 weeks that they were there, they wanted to see shows every day. And there was this one particular show that was really big, but it had sold out to the point where they even put it in the newspaper like, look, don't try to come get these tickets. It's sold out. We don't have no more seats, period. So he went down there to get his brothers into the show. He didn't know how it was going to happen. He just went down there. So he's standing in this line. It's like, ticket lines. So it's probably about 5 or 6 lines out there, I'm imagining. And so he's standing in this one particular line, and he noticed the one next to him was going faster. So he moved over into that lane. And as he did so, he's standing there waiting, waiting, waiting. So it got to his time to where he next in line. And he said the gentleman that was in front of him was really tall, so much taller than him. So, stood out, waved his arm across and, over his head and everything like that. So this was a really tall guy. And so he's watching them because, that's what we do. See somebody extra tall, like, wow, it's so tall. So you end up watching them. So he paid the tickets and everything else. And then when Neville's turn was come to step up to the window to get his tickets, the guy at the cashier, ticket guy, was like, he only gave me $2. So Neville called the other guy over, like, hey, get over here. You get over here. You only gave him $2 instead of the $20 that he was supposed to pay. So he gave him 2 ones instead of 2 tens. And the guy was like, no, I didn't. No, he didn't. So Nell was like, no, I saw the whole thing. You gave him 2 ones. And so the guy reached into his wallet. He's like, well, when do you balance your drawer out? They had their words. But the guy ended up switching out the 2 ones for the 2 tens. And the cashier or the ticket guy was so appreciative over the fact that he was no longer going to be short that $18, that he gave him the 2 tickets that he wanted for his brothers to go see the show, because they have like VIP tickets. So I'm telling you the story to tell you that even evil has its purpose. Even the negativity has its purpose. Even the dark side, whatever you want to call it, it has its purpose. It's something to be learned from. It's something to even get out of it sometimes. Because you do the right thing and you see somebody else doing the wrong thing and you call them out, and guess what? You got blessed for it. Your blessings don't always come instantaneous like that. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes bad things happen and you just don't understand why, but it's a change that goes through. Like, I know it's sad sometimes when you might lose a family member, whether your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, a cousin, an auntie, grandma, grandpa. It's a sad moment for you, but at that time, at that loss, it changes you. It does something to you. It brings you to a crossroad to where you could take the dark side, or you could take the light side and still remain in love. So all of this is down to say that when I looked at this and was trying to find my way back to God, I looked at nature. And I saw how things go, good or bad. Even in nature, you have good and bad. Like, I like watching nature shows, and I never know what animal to root for, because I don't want this one to starve, but I don't want this one to die. So it's like, who do you root for? And the answer is no one. It just is what it is. So it's that balance that has to be maintained, So even though you might say, okay, well, this is evil, evil's wrong, evil needs to be disbanded, well, we wouldn't be able to function if it did. And you weren't born and you didn't come here to this earth to have a la-di-da, miraculous, beautiful time with nothing happening. That's boring. Like they said in the Matrix, your mind would not accept it, because that's not what we come here for. There are experiences and lessons that we want to learn, which is why we come here. This is why God sends us here. For that experience, to make those connections. That's the only thing you take with you when you die. So the rest of it is null and void. So when you look at nature and you see how nature does it and how nature goes, you can see the process. And you can see how God is inside all of us and how God connects us all together. And if God is love and you do everything out of love, then you have a happy life. Even when bad things happen, you still fill your heart with love, and you have a happy life. There's one lady that I work with. She's gone through so much stuff in this past last year, where she was robbed. It was an assault. She ended up out of work for a while. She lost her mom. She just overcame cancer. It's like a lot that went on with this woman. But she is so full of love and so full of just the spirit of what we believe God to be, that she's on top all the time. All the time. And it's a beautiful thing. And so what people, you wonder, because it's human nature to wonder, what if this isn't right? What if this is wrong? Well, if you live your life in love, doing for other people, out of love, caring about other people, wishing them blessings and wishing them peace and wishing them love, even when they don't know you're doing it, giving them blessings without them even knowing it. And it doesn't always have to be monetary. Sometimes it could be your time. Sometimes it could be just something that you got started or put in the works for them. If that's wrong, is it really wrong? I mean, I think that's a beautiful way to live your life, even if you get to heaven and or die and find out you had it all mixed up. But at least you lived your life in a peaceful, loving, blessed way. And that was what I got out of it when I did my searching. This is where I ended back up. So this is this is how I feel God is. That He's inside each and every one of us, connecting all of us together. So if you are one of those who are into tarot cards and oracle cards and things like that, it's not even necessary. Do your soul searching. Find a God that's within you. And you'll already have those abilities. You already have that information. You already know what it is that you're searching for. It's not magic when you connect to something else. When you connect to an animal, connect to a person, connect to a tree, a plant, whatever. It's a beautiful thing. It's a connection. And it's you connecting to God. So I know I'm like way over what I normally try to get to, but it was something that, like I said, is just on my spirit today for me to get out and let people know. And I think that was from God, because like I said, I meditate, and that's when I talk to Him. That's when I do my soul searching inside myself. And I know people are like, well, how do you do that? How do you start? You just start. Have a conversation with God. Ask Him questions. You'll find the answers. You just have to be open to hear it. You got to be open to see it. And you don't put a limit on God by telling God how to deliver that message. He's going to deliver it, and you're going to get it. And when you get it, it's what I call a bingo effect. It's like that aha, yeah, that's it type of feeling that you get. And you know that's right. You know that's what you were looking for. You know that was the answer. And it can come in any kind of way. It can come in a movie, a song lyric, something somebody says to you, an advertisement on a bus or something. It's going to come to you. You just have to be open to receive it and not necessarily think it's going to be God coming down, standing before you and saying, hey, here's your answer. No. No, He's inside of you. He talks to you all the time. You just got to listen. Ooh, which reminds me, because there was something else I wanted to say too, as far as listening to that internal voice, when it comes to sensing things and people around you and those connections. So let's say you're walking down the street and you see somebody. Your first instinct and your first thing tells you that they're up to no good. But then you say, well, I don't want to be stereotypical, or I don't want to think like that. And so you continue walking on, and ends up that guy robs you. They dump you. Well, that little thing that you had, that little feeling that you had to begin with, your first instinct, that gut feeling that you had that this dude was up to no good and that you should walk another way, that's God talking to you. When you're walking down the street and you're getting this impulse to turn right, although the place you want to go is to the left, but you turn right, you turn left anyway, and you find out that it's blocked off and you can't get that way, and they make you go to another left, and then you get trapped out and you end up with another left, and guess what? You ended up turning right. You end up right back at the beginning, and you ended up turning right. These are times that God is talking to you, that He's trying to give you guidance, and although you may think it's so simple and so insignificant, it is significant. You start listening to those little impulses on things that you think don't matter, then guess what? You'll start hearing the big ones on the things that do matter. So it's not that God isn't answering your prayers, it's just that you can't hear Him when He does. So in order to learn how to listen better, listen to those little impulses. And don't concern yourself whether it was right or whether it was wrong or why, because that's something else we get caught up in. Why did this happen? Why do I have to do this? Why? It's not about why, just do it. And yeah, you may get some wrong. You're going to get them wrong, actually. You're not going to get it right every single time. So, they may say, well, pick the apple instead of orange, and you bite into that orange, and the orange is nasty. The fact that you were open to hearing it will make that voice louder. And eventually what will end up happening is you will hear them say, no, eat the apple, the orange is bad. Where it may be in the first time, all you heard was orange and not orange is bad. So this is something else to think about and to realize as well, to strengthen your connection with God. Just listen. I can't say it enough. Just listen. We were taught and we're brainwashed not to believe or trust in ourselves, in this world, in this society, Trust yourself. God is talking to you all the time, but you have to listen in order to hear him. So that's it. I'm done for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of this, because apparently this was to reach somebody. So I hope it gets to the people or person that it was supposed to reach, and that you get the understanding, and that you helps you find your way back to them as well. So you have a good day with lots of love and blessings. Bye.